take us through a snapshot of your career, and then we can go from there into feedback now and, what the challenges are and the customer experience is as you see it.
Sure. So you said take through the career, right? So crazy career. What was it? 7 years active duty in the Air Force. I worked on stealth technology. The first part of my career was the stuff you can't talk about. The last couple of years was like, it was also stuff you can't talk about, but it was basically software development. So it started to get me into technology that I could apply to the non-military world. Got out, did business school, did a startup. So I experienced the whole, what it's like to run a company that's got to pivot really, really fast and all that other stuff. And then quickly, that my timing was bad, but because that was the first crash of the market, 2000, I think. And then that started me on my 10-year stint as CIO of the Museum of Modern Art. So, which was a great job because it was like always changing, but it was also, how do you take a traditional physical space and start to make it digital, Mm-hmm. So I had not only the sort of normal tech command, help desk, networks, security, whatever, business systems, but like the strategy of how you take a museum and go digital. And then after 10 years, came to Forrester Research, public company, been around for 30 years, talked a lot about technology, a lot about marketing. And right when I got here 9 years ago, whatever it was, 9 years ago, we started to say, hey, it's really not about marketing or technology. It's about how you bring those together and create customer experiences that are unique, that are differentiating, that are, revenue driving. And we started steering the company that way. And then maybe 4 years ago, my boss who founded the company had this idea of like, hey, if we're saying that customers rule the world and customers tell companies what to do, not the other way around, because of social media, because of the power of the mobile device, because of all these different factors, why not create something that really that directly enables that? So we came up with this idea to like put red, green, and yellow, not a big survey or whatever, but just simple red, green, yellow. A line is too long on the phone, not Yelp where you leave a long review, but I'm standing in line at Starbucks. I go to the Starbucks each week. I want the ability to tell them that I love this place, but if they can make the lines a little shorter, that would be great. And it was a great idea. We actually made an app. We put it out in the App Store. We had people using it, but we ran into a wall, which was that we couldn't get enough people without a Super Bowl ad or good marketing, or we couldn't get enough people using it where the companies would pay attention. Mm-hmm. And the experience we designed was that you wouldn't really do that red, green, yellow submitting if you didn't think the companies were listening. So it was a little bit of a cycle, the flywheel we couldn't get going. Mm-hmm. And while we were strategizing about how we get going, we bumped into this company called Feedback Now, which started out of Switzerland. And as it happens, I have one of the boxes right here. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I was reading about the smiley boxes.
Boxes, they're IoT devices, and they're in 100 plus airports all over the world. We acquired that company and an AI company that does natural language processing on the same day. And the idea was to put them together to create something new, something different that is like not just red, green, and yellow, but the ability to like get some short feedback, coalesce it, figure out what the trends are. And our vision was, let's turn our company not just from a research company who talks about how you have to do it, but actually start to be solutions, start to be a software company ourselves, and produce solutions that companies can use to fix customer experience issues in real time. Mm. And me, myself, my journey was, the tech enabler of that. And at some point I'm just like, why do we need all these product people and tech people. The future is tech product people who understand business and tech, put it together. You don't need all these people. You just need kind of me. So I decided to step out of the CIO role and basically take over this business, which we're running as a separate company almost.
Mm-hmm.
My own marketing, my own sales, my own whatever. And it's a very different business than Forrester, which is another reason we tried to separate it. So that was a very, very long answer to a very short question, but it's a long tail, as you can imagine.
Yeah, and a great journey.
Yeah, I love being on the business side of it now.
What a serendipity that you were, because we had lunch when you were telling me about the red, green, and yellow, and that you were trying to launch that. And then what a serendipity that you find a company that's got a like-minded thinking that your company acquires.
Oh yeah, it was. Well, you know, it wasn't super unique, red, green, yellow. But you know, there's a million people have emojis everywhere.
Yeah.
This company had a particular. They solved the solution in a really particular genius way. They made a very flexible IoT device that is hardened. It can be put in a stand. It can be put on the wall. It could be, you know, like they just basically built their solution around flexibility. And they got a lot of European market, but they hadn't really gone into the US market. So with the acquisition, we were trying to boost the technology, go with that flexibility and create new solutions. And also, you know, as Forrester, we want the data as well. So it's
So then you take that data as Forrester and you repurpose that to your C-level people who are in
not
need of
yet,
it.
but we haven't done that yet. But we will.
Okay.
For right now, it's a business where companies don't want, they don't want to share the data necessarily. The airports share, some of the airports share the data as I can opt in. Excuse me, but where we're trying to head is to get the data to the point where it can be aggregated easily. You know, let's put all the retail stuff together. And we know when we do that, we're being very methodical about it. Like, let's not tackle the world today.
Yeah.
Stabilize the technology and make sure it can be modernized and scaled. Check. Let's, you know, and COVID threw in a whole bunch of left turns that we'll talk about, but you know, change the solution to be a little, not just about red, green, and yellow, but all sorts of ways to be real-time CX enabled. And where we're combining with Forrester is not yet with the data. We will get there, but it's we'll hopefully get there soon. But it's around like, it's one thing to stick a red, green, yellow there and say, how are we doing? And then, you know, great, I have that information. What do I do with it though? How do I change my practices and my operation? That's where it's like the consulting and the research kind of mesh that we're going into first, I would say. So can we go into a company and help them figure out how to deploy these, and then it's about measuring, analyzing, and acting. So any company can give you these and help you measure. But Forrester's pretty good at the analyzing part and the acting part.